على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم أنا دمي فلسطيني.
Come, go ahead. I will say this to God or Allah and our ancestors, because our ancestors is not different. It's the same. Right? We came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of us all over the world. Come. I'm allowing you to kill me also, because I'm looking for my death. Yes, I'm looking for my death also. That I cannot see. Maybe you are the answer. Unless someone is very strong in manifesting through prayer when I'm gone. Because if I'm a strong manifester itself, because I manifested my death until now, it didn't come. If black magics etc. doesn't work, you have to do it physically. I advise you. And I advise you to find someone who is strongly manifested to our Father God to save this earth. And when I can say, when I'm dead, who can manifestly save this earth once I'm gone. I'm a strong manifestor person, as I have said, but I cannot manifest my death. So, I cannot manifest negative. If I'm a strong manifestor in positive, but I cannot strongly manifest in negative. Unless someone, as I've said, come, I allow you to do it physically through my end so that I can stop. Unless you will pay me 2 million. It's pesos. It's not that expensive. It's very cheap actually. So that I would stop. Or not, I don't care if I will lead you to chaos this world or the bright side. I won't stop. All the things that I did, I won't stop. As I have said, 2 million, or I won't stop. Or come physically end my life. And remember this one? Find someone who manifestly save this earth unless I am gone through prayer. I'm so tired arguing with God. The Holy Spirit that within me. I'm also tired. My family is fucked. These people is fucked. People all over the world. Can I see I can see a street person that knows how to at least empathize. It's I can say actually, but is it real or plastic? They are just doing to save who? Themselves? Or are they really doing it through their hearts? Well, don't worry. The transaction would be not publicly. I would just stop and delete all those videos that I made. I'm not like you people that once I'd said it, I will blackmail someone. I'm not like that. And that cash is totally in my hand. Well, even my social medias and YouTube channels, I will delete it. If someone, I don't care if it comes from an evil personals. So, that's my message.
David, it's hard to even explain exactly just the mass casualties that happened right here. In fact, the Israeli military says they still don't have a clear number, but I'm talking to some of the soldiers, and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities, babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said. Gunned down, families completely gunned down in their beds. You can see some of these soldiers right now comforting each other. Many of them reserves who jumped into action, leaving their own families behind as well, not knowing the sheer horror that they were about to come to. They say they've never experienced anything like this. This is nothing that anyone could have even imagined when you're walking through here. Baby cribs thrown to the side. Doors thrown wide open. Still some Israeli bodies still here because the fighting in this community just ended just recently. So many of these troops are still going house to house, door to door. It's taken them sometimes 30 minutes, 40 minutes because many of these houses are also still have grenades in them, booby traps. In fact, as we're trying to get closer to some of these scenes, we're being told, no, get back from some of these Israeli military because there are still grenades in the area. I want us to keep walking through, continue to kind of see the destruction that's happening on the ground here. Even something as simple as a soccer net just left to the side here as people were with their families playing. I see in the distance more bodies being covered, all the while as they're covering these Israeli bodies trying to evacuate everyone else from the territory, taking all of the casualties out of here. It's also littered with the bodies of terrorists. So we're hearing from one of the lead commanders here. It was anywhere from maybe 70 armed terrorists who made their way here from the Gaza border fence, which is less than a quarter of a mile away.
There's no evidence substantiating this claim that 40 babies have been killed by Hamas. Even the Israeli government cannot confirm that claim. What's known about the claim that 40 babies were beheaded by Hamas in Israel? In that article, it says, at present, there is no way to independently verify that it happened. No authority, including the Israeli government or the country's military, have officially confirmed or denied the report. This is nothing but an example of atrocity propaganda. Atrocity propaganda is the spreading of information about the crimes committed by an enemy, which can be factual, but often includes or features deliberate fabrications or exaggerations, and this can involve photographs, videos, illustrations, interviews, and other forms of information presenting or reporting. This, much like the AI-generated image that was shared by Ben Shapiro on Twitter, is nothing more than atrocity propaganda spread for the purpose of justifying the continued apartheid and genocide being imposed on the Palestinian people. I see the tears for stories that have not been substantiated, but where are the tears for the 1,900 Palestinians that have been killed in the near constant shelling of Gaza, including, according to this report from 16 minutes ago, 614 children? Any and all information being pushed by the Israeli government, by Israeli media, should be viewed with an incredible amount of skepticism, as they are simply attempting to justify the genocide that they are imposing on the Palestinian people. Free Palestine.
OMG, my intuition. Zung, it says. Oh my gosh, with this video, let's watch it.
About Palestine. Number 1, 40 babies were beaten. This is completely false. No evidence has been provided for this. The claim comes from this journalist during a walk and talk. She makes the claim saying,
I see in the distance more bodies being covered. Babies, their heads cut off.
Later in a tweet, however, she admits that she did not see bodies, but heard a soldier talking about them. Number 2, people were beat. Also false. There is no evidence of this whatsoever. Number 3, 250 people were killed at a concert. False. The only videos we have seen are people running away from the concert. There isn't a single video or photo suggesting that 250 people were killed at a concert or that a mass shooting took place. What we do have, however, are interviews of Israelis claiming that Palestinian resistance fighters were actually kind to them, merciful to them. So why are they lying? It's called atrocity propaganda. They lie about atrocities in order to incite emotions, hatred, and violence. Why? Because they are the ones planning to commit atrocities themselves. To do this, they need to convince you that Palestinians are barbaric animals that torture and behead babies. This is a war of information. Follow for more and help us fight.
So, this is a hint from the truth. My intuition says, because zang, oh my gosh, I cannot stop it while I'm watching that one. So, it's you who watching is, you decide.
So some new information has come out about the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel, about some friendly fire by an Israeli army helicopter which arrived on the scene during the attack. So this Israeli military helicopter was reportedly responsible for at least some of the deaths of the Israelis killed at the festival, as the helicopter shot at festival goers in addition to Hamas fighters. So this new assessment came from Israel's security establishment based on a police investigation into what went on during the October 7th assault, and was reported by Haaretz. So according to Israeli police, at least 364 people were killed at the festival, but how many of those were killed by Israel's military helicopter remains unknown. And Hamas didn't premeditate the music festival attack according to the investigation, which found that Hamas had no knowledge of the festival prior to launching the attack. Hamas's targets on the day were the kibbutzim, or Israeli settlements near Gaza, according to the Israeli report. So over a month on, Israel has revised its death toll from the October 7th Hamas assault, this week bringing the death toll down from 1,400 to 1,200 Israelis killed.
We had the number at 1,400 casualties, and now we've revised that down to 1,200 because we understood that we had overestimated. We made a mistake. There were actually bodies that were so badly burnt, we thought they were ours. In the end, apparently they were Hamas terrorists.
But Mark Regev doesn't say who it was that burnt those bodies. And now with this new investigation, part of that initial number of Israelis killed may have been down to Israeli forces. And that initial Israeli death toll was used to justify Israel's relentless bombing campaign on the besieged Gaza Strip, which since the 7th of October has killed at least 12,300 Palestinians.
Please go take 3 minutes of your day to go read this news article. Israel admits killing its own people at music festival on October 7th. This is from Doha News. There are other news sources, but they are getting this report from Haaretz News. And I am probably mispronouncing that, but here's the original news article, and this is an Israeli media source, which is why it's in Hebrew. And if you still don't trust the article I am referencing, here is from Business Insider: IDF combat helicopter targeting Hamas fighters at Nova Festival. Massacre, shot some partygoers by mistake. Again, says Haaretz. Back on the Doha News article, here you can see it says an Israeli combat helicopter was dispatched from the Ramat David base to target Hamas fighters who had crossed the border from Gaza into Israel during the unprecedented Al-Aqsa flood operation, killing a total of 364. However, a police source has now confirmed that the helicopter had also opened fire on and killed several Israeli settlers attending the music festival. The article also talks about how Hamas soldiers did not know about the festival beforehand and learned about it day of. They also say this: it has also raised questions about the Israeli forces' refusal to negotiate for the release of captives, feeding into the complexity of which side is responsible for the deaths on October 7th. Initially, Israel claimed that Hamas killed 1,400 Israelis during the October 7th attack, later revising the count to 1,200. Israeli spokesperson Mark Regev admitted to a mistake, stating that 200 of the alleged victims were Hamas fighters or Palestinians whose bodies were initially assumed to be Israelis due to severe burn. The article also goes into the current crisis in Gaza, stating that more than 12,000 Palestinians, including 4,710 children, have died. Now, these numbers are actually higher because this article was written a few days ago, and also 26 out of 35 hospitals in Gaza are no longer in operation. And finally, how on Saturday the IOF gave hundreds inside Al-Shifa Hospital just 1 hour notice to evacuate. Medical sources told Wafa that 150 of the critically ill patients, more than 30 premature babies, and 5 doctors remain in the hospital due to their inability to move. 4 of the 39 incubator babies died last week after the hospital ran out of oxygen and electricity due to the Israeli siege on Gaza. And finally, I just want to mention that this article was written on the 19th, and today is now the 22nd.
So if this were true, if it were true that Israel had killed most of their own civilians on the 7th, why wouldn't Norman Finkelstein be talking about it? Norman Finkelstein, the son of Holocaust survivors who's the #1 voice for Palestine, who devoted his entire adult career to studying the conflict and said the facts led me to support the Palestinians, Arab people are out here saying, I'm going to name my Arab kid Norman Finkelstein. Why wouldn't he be talking about it? I get that it's tempting to think that our side is totally good, their side is totally bad, life is simple, there are no complexities or quandaries, but it's been 6 months and there's no excuse anymore. There's just no excuse. And when you take the true fact that the IDF killed a certain number of their own civilians on that day, Hannibal Directive, chaos of war, incompetence, and take that to mean they killed most of them, you sound a lot like the people on the other side who say most of those deaths in Gaza are a regrettable, terrible, heart-rending consequence of Hamas's war strategy. Norman Finkelstein has talked many times about how on the 2nd day after the attack, and the 3rd day after the attack, and the 4th day after the attack, the overwhelming evidence put him into a deep moral quandary. He said he was forced to go back into history to see if he could find any comparable analogy for what was happening, and the closest analogy he could find was the Nat Turner revolt, the slave revolt. And I think it's a very useful analogy. My best friend and I agree that we think it's about 85% a good analogy for what happened. Nat Turner said, I want to create a national crisis over slavery. He was a religious fanatic. He ordered his followers to go out and kill all whites. And his followers disemboweled people. His followers did behead babies. They killed scores of white people, and the leading abolitionist of the day, William Lloyd Garrison, described the revolt as one in which horrors occurred. And he was a pacifist. He believed in nonviolence, but he did not condemn the attack. He said, we told you so. We told you that if you treat people this way, something bad is going to happen. Much like Ofer Kassif, the left-wing member of the Knesset, who said after October 7th, "We warned you, time and time again, everything is going to erupt, and civilians on both sides are going to pay the price." To be clear, Ofer Kassif did vigorously condemn the October 7th attack. His condemnation was just not taken very seriously owing to his refusal to go along with the idea of the Israeli state being the victim, being the good guy. So yes, horrors occurred on October 7th, and if they hadn't, this would be the guy saying so.